of off the court. In your book, Sixth Man, and I know you've done this in interviews as well, you've talked about the importance of sleep behaviors, recovery, yoga, meditation, these sort of what maybe were once considered alternative methods, but now are becoming more mainstream. How important has that been in elongating your career and also sort of, well, not just physically, but mentally preparing you for games?
Yeah, I think it's helped me like extend my career because most of the time, like somebody just had the best of Darren Williams highlight tape. I looked
I
at it
saw
this
that
morning.
today. I did. I saw that shit today.
Oh my God!
Shit was crazy.
So people was like, there was four players. It was Darren. It was Gilbert, Beatty, and who was the fourth? It was somebody else.
Yeah.
It was somebody else. But anyway, so I'm like, yo, do y'all know how good Darren Williams was? And then people be like, you see how quick he fell off? And I'm like, listen, people don't understand the mental strain that comes with the game, dog. Like, it's really like tough on you. Like, you don't know what's going on in somebody's life. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know what it is. Like, he still can play. He just was in a different situation. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's a lot of other guys because he's a Hall of Famer to me. But you got guys in the league who are talented, could have 10, 15-year careers, perennial all-stars could have been, but like they just mentally they couldn't, it just didn't work out for them. And it's like it's in our culture. It might be taboo to talk to a psychiatrist or do meditation. Like that's frowned upon where we come from, and just trying to break that mold of if it helps, you should do it. So like meditation, sleep was how I started. Like I couldn't sleep in college. It's in a book. The first time I met an agent, and the agent was like, "Yo, I want to talk to you," and I'm like, "For what?" Like I'm clueless.
Right.
Because every day in practice, coach is like, "Andre, you gotta get better." So I'm thinking I ain't that good.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm like, man, man, I must really be weak. I remember one time coach got on me after I had a triple-double, and my teammate was like, "Yeah, you had a triple-double." I'm like, damn, I did? Like, I thought I had played the worst game of my life.
Right.
You 19 years old, you don't know. But then you outside, I got an agent telling me I'm good. I'm like, what you mean I'm good? Like, I don't understand. So at the end of the day, you figure it out, like, oh, coach want me to stay.
Right.
You don't know, you don't know that.
Right.
So that's when I started having those sleep problems. Was in college. Like I wasn't going to sleep.
Wow.
I'm going to bed at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., waking up at 7:30, go to class or go to practice or lift weights or whatever. I just wasn't sleeping. It just became regular. So until I got to the Warriors, so that's like 8-9 years down the line.
Right.
I'm going to bed later, and it's just regular. So
Right.
I was like, man, let me see what this is about. So I just did a study on sleep, and I'm like, whoa. And then I did something with this tech company, Jawbone, and they was tracking my sleep, and then they came back with the numbers. I didn't even know they were doing it. How my stats were coming off of games where I got the proper amount of sleep versus the games where I didn't get the right amount of sleep. And it was like night and day.
Right.
So from there, I just took that and was like, all right, cool. What other ways can I get better? Like off the court like that. The food thing was a big thing. Like you saw how I ate, you know what I'm saying? Like, cool, like these are foods you got to eat. These are foods I need to stay away from, changing your whole diet. And then from there, it was the meditation thing came along with the yoga. So I started doing yoga. I heard Joe Johnson was doing yoga because he's not like a super athletic dude, but he's still getting it done. I'm like, Joe, what you doing? He's like, I do yoga. So I was like, all right, cool, let me do some yoga. And then in yoga, you don't realize it, but you meditating in yoga. So I'm like, all right, cool, let me dive into this meditation. And then before you realize, you're like, yo, these things are needed for more than just basketball. Like they really help you in life. And, especially when you got family, like people don't understand how hard it is to be an athlete and be a family. Like I was just joking with my wife, and how, our wives are like, yo, y'all go out and put y'all on the court, but take the kid to school one time, right? we always laugh about that, right? So she was just like Giselle, who make just as much money as Tom Brady. Tom Brady was on Howard Stern joking like, yo, man, my wife is like, yo, you got to do better at home. I seen you like master football. You the greatest quarterback all the time. But I want you to put 1% of that into these kids. You ain't never took the kids to school. So like people don't understand, like, man, it ain't just waking up in the morning and you just going having fun, hooping, doing whatever you want, partying. Like you got to be balanced, man, and the mind has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, I remember, like my first 8 years was spent in New Orleans, and so I didn't have any of the amenities, none of the extras, and it wasn't until I got to Indiana that I realized I guess that health prep where you prepare your body before you get injured and not necessarily worry about it after you get injured. And like you, I mean, it was like 8 years in, and that was something that I thought extended my career because, again, I had 8 years where, and ultimately at the end of that 8 years resulted in a torn ACL, where I just didn't know any better. Like, we had a conversation with BD the other day, and, he was with the Hornets when I was a rookie, and it was like, yo, you don't know that this is not how things are supposed to be until you get somewhere where there's a little bit more expertise involved, more science involved. When I got to Indy, they didn't have a stem machine. They didn't have no stem machine where you hook you up, and that's not a part of their thing. They're real medical people, hands-on, doing manipulations, preparing your body, to not get hurt. So it was night and day. And so I understand what you're talking about because you almost feel like you get deprived. Like when you get somewhere and they have all this information, you almost get angry a little bit, like, damn. I felt like that when I got the year I went to San Antonio, and then ultimately, the 2 seasons with the Warriors, man, it was like you realize all of the things you didn't have, all of the layers of support that exist in certain organizations that don't exist in others. And the mental health piece, again, was something that maybe year 9 or 10, and that was the midst of those conference finals runs with the Pacers, where the Pacers even were like, man, y'all need somebody to talk to because y'all, we was so hectic trying to win. We'd be inside just ready to rip each other's heads off. You know what I'm saying? And that, they introduced the mental health people to us, like, yo, man, y'all need to talk to him. Some of you guys need to and it helped. It reasonably helped. My last couple years with the Warriors, man, I tell people all the time, man, like meeting Chelsea and having a couple years with her, man, really helped me adjust for this life after basketball because, she caught me. Remember I told you, man, I was about to be a diabetic. If it wasn't for her, I'd have been over the edge.
Right.
She caught it, like, interjected all types of stuff into my life. But it was like, damn, like you got to be in those environments where those people are, you know what I'm saying, in order to realize you're really missing this integral part of your life. And then ultimately it translates into other parts of your life because I use like the technique she taught me in terms of keeping my back together and stuff. I haven't had any back issues in like 3 years, but it's an everyday thing. And I ain't playing no ball no more, but I'm still maintaining what she taught me. You know what I mean? So that's really, really valuable, man. What do you think from an overarching standpoint, man? What do you think about what does it cost you to invest in these other parts of yourself?
If it's cost me, I think it's cost me it can cost you in terms of perception. And I've seen that happen before where there's this bright young mind, right? This guy's he might be in year 3 or 4, right? And he's the next one. Like he's the one where he's got the bright mind and he can take it to the next level you're talking about B's, he can take it there.
Right.
With his
I know you're talking about.
Right. So I don't want to say his name because
I got you. I know you're talking about.
I've heard people say in that ownership governorship, however you want to title him, say like, why does he have all this other stuff going on? Like, why won't he just won't focus on basketball? Like, what?
Right. To do it brilliant.
I'm like, are you serious? Like they were like, he was dead serious. Like he was telling me, like this guy was telling me, like, yeah, this is what the ownership is saying. Like they say he's got too much going on outside the game. They're worried if he's focused on basketball. I'm like, and that's how we were taught when we came into the league. Like, you need to maximize your window in this league because you never know when it's going to end. And it's funny because I had a conversation with a Hall of Famer, and he was like, it was Lonzo Mourning, and Zoe was like, oh, I had access to all this stuff, this real estate down here in Miami. Like this area right here, like the art district, this area. He was like, man, I could have bought all this. I had the means. He was like, I just didn't know because all we were taught was like, make the most of your career. Like, don't focus on this stuff later. And like that stuff would resonate with me. And I noticed, like, I have conversations with some people, like even Bob Myers, I would laugh with him sometimes. He was like, man, sometimes it seems like, you got a lot of stuff you focusing on. And then it's like, is he focused on basketball? He's like, but then you have a big game. I'm like, Bob, I'm always ready. Like, I'm focused on this. Like, I'll be in the gym late at night, just look at my key card.
Right.
And like, don't just guess. Like, it's right. The information is there to see if I'm engaged or not. Like I'm always engaged. It's just like I just think outside the box sometimes, and I don't think they're used to it. So when you're doing something they don't understand or they don't know how to receive it.
Right.
And
Gotcha.
once they don't know how to receive it, and then it's just like building trust. So like I've been in a few positions like I got to prove to the coach that like, bro, I can still play. Like I'm still good.
Right.
And it's like you miss a shot and they're like, why'd you shoot that? And it's like, oh shit, I got give me 10 games, man. All right, 10 games, I'll show you. And then it's like, oh snap, like you can do that. I'm like, bro, I work on my game. I just
right.
I just have other stuff that I'm doing as well. Like you can do both, because end of the day, you know how we athletes work. Like we only practicing an hour or two a day. Like
Right.
3
right.
hours, 3 hours max. You get an hour to prep, hour to lift, hour basketball. 20 to 30 minutes to compress down. You go home. What you gonna do with the rest of your time?
Right. That
like
was always my argument, bro. It wasn't enough. It was too many hours in the day to just say, okay, I'm gonna just do basketball. It's too much to do. Too much going on in the world as well.
Wouldn't you? You talked about it in the context of mental wellness and physical wellness. Wouldn't you make the argument as well that those that are satisfied in the other facets of their life are ultimately going to play better on the court?
Yeah. So I was having that conversation with another player like 2 weeks ago. We were talking about some this up and coming tech company, right? They got some cool stuff going, right? And we were talking, and he was like, "Man, you seem like you keep it busy." I'm like, "Listen, man, like you got to be able to step away from the court when you want to, not when you have to, right?" I know the guys who are going to struggle when they retire. Like I can see it in their faces because they have no identity outside of the game, and then like they need that interview, or they need to talk to the media, or they have to have a purpose in terms of, oh, I got to go to work today, or I got to lift because I got to be ready to play this guy. It's like you can hear it in their tone when they're talking. Like you could be talking about potato chips, you'd be like, oh shit, like that guy's going to struggle. And that's one thing I try to do is just like I let any teammate that I ever have know, like, all right, the first question I ask, what are your interests? You read books, man? Like pick up a book. Like I was joking with one of my rookies in Miami, like, what books you read? He was like, I don't really read books like that. I'm like, oh, that ain't no problem at all. Cause like, you're 19, 20, I'm gonna get you there. Like, and I got to slow walk him. I just got to slow walk him. But at the end of the day, man, that mind space, like if you don't have an identity when you're done, that's where you get the worst. Yeah, you're gonna struggle bad. Like, and then a lot of the times those are the guys that suppress it. They won't speak out on it. Like they won't get help about it.
Right.
And that makes it worse. So I think we are getting better, but we got to continue to just like drill down on it.
What do you say to a young guy because I think there's a two-way street here, because you and I both know like there's a certain level of engagement that you want from a player, but then you also want guys to be like, yo, man, you gotta get some other interests. But you don't want guys just doing any random damn thing. Like, how do you help distinguish, like, this is something that will help you and be valuable for you, as opposed to something that'll be detrimental to you and just filling up your time, like, going out or doing, taking part of some of the things that may lead you down a different path.
So I've learned to like be very patient, because like I've had teammates where I got frustrated. I was like, bro, man, I'm trying to help you. Like, I'm wasting my time. Like, don't waste my time, bro. Like, what you think I'm doing here? And I've had teammates be like, man, all you do is read. And I lost patience with them. But what I've learned is to take it slow. Like Duncan Robinson, like he picked up on it like right away. So like Duncan Robinson, I'm like, yo, let's roll. Let's go grab something to eat. Or if I got a conversation with a tech company, I'll just shoot him the information right away. Like, boom, check this out. Like, you ain't got to invest. Like, don't invest yet, but just read on it. And he like, boom, I'm with it. Or I had him do a partnership. He like, boom, I'm with it. Like, he get it, just because that's who he is. He went to Michigan, whatever. Or if somebody else, like as you know how music is, like I be in the locker room like, what are we listening to? Right. So them guys, I'm like, okay, cool. I gotta slow play him. Like, I don't want to turn them off too quick and be like, yo, read this whole book. It's 400 pages. Like, I wouldn't do that. Now I know, like, all right, cool. Let me do something he like. Then I'm gonna bring him into my world, and then we just slowly figure it out. And then like I've learned that they respect that a little bit more. So it just all depends on the person. Once they know you care and you trying to help them, like they're very receptive, and you just got to think of creative ways to just, think of parallels that they understand what you're talking about. Because they don't have to do what you're doing, but they just got to think of something else that's going to fulfill them outside the game.
So, Andre, I got a little bit different question for you. You played at the University of Arizona, obviously, a major program, and I'm sure to some extent you probably still follow college basketball. Where do you land on the idea of compensating college athletes?
Well, obviously I'm all for it. I've been in college and I struggled before. Like that documentary just came out. The scheme was pretty interesting. And contrary to popular belief, like I didn't get $1 in college, like nothing. I think I got in trouble one time because I took a job my freshman year, and you're not supposed to have a job as an athlete, scholarship athlete.
That's right. Yeah.
Wow.
So they took it out of my scholarship check or the stipend check, whatever you get. They took it out of that. Bro, I was pissed because I spent it. Obviously, I blew it.
Right.
So I was broke for like a good week and a half, dog. I'm struggling. I'm like, I got a job. Like I actually went and got a job, but obviously players should get paid. The trick is like they don't want to. It's too much money involved for them to relinquish that, and it's easy to me. Like it's quite simple, man. You set up a trust for every player where, all right, they got too many calculations. Like they can calculate how much each death with the economy being shut down cost. Like they calculated that. They said it's like $240 million of economic loss per death would be in the economy being shut down. Like, do you figure that out? And you mean tell me you can't figure out how much to pay these kids?
Right.
It's crazy.
It's just that they don't want to. But
yeah, man. But all you gotta do is, man, listen, man. You set it up for the kid. All right, you come here. Maybe you set it up for a kid that he can get endorsements or someone can use a likeness, or somebody said something interesting to me, like the school can have a contract with Nike, but the kid can have a contract with, Anta or any shoe company, and the kid can wear whatever shoe he wants to wear. If the school's willing to pay, or if the company's willing to pay that kid who says that's wrong, like that works to me. The issue you have is I saw something where these football and these basketball programs are payrolling the entire athletic department.
Right.
And that's where you have Title IX comes in, and you got to have equality of the board with sports, and then you're not going to have as much funding for the other sports. So you got to figure all these things out. But at the end of the day, they still figure it out where at least the kids are getting something, where you set up the trust, the kid gets it. If they turn professional, they get it when they turn professional, or they get it when they get the degree and they graduate. So you make sure kids are getting their school, getting their degrees, and then it's already set before. It's just simple.
And how important do you think it is in that period of that college window for these athletes to get a more meaningful education than they're potentially getting right now, especially as it relates to that sort of off the court preparedness? You talked about financial literacy earlier, public speaking, social media management. These guys are targets almost in a way from AAU on now.
Right.
And so providing that sort of platform and opportunity.
That's a great question, because kids go to college, like the kids, he's been playing with computers, software. So like if you go to school to become an engineer, right? I mean, they got all the programs for him to be an elite engineer and all the tools to be a successful engineer. But they don't have, they have, some schools have these programs, but they're like, get your easy A, the GPA boosters.
Right.
The GPA booster program. It's like, no, if these kids come to school to play ball, and like if you go to Arizona, you go to Kentucky, if you go to any of these schools, North Carolina, you go to Duke. On the basketball team, half those guys are going pro. So put them in the professional athlete programs where they're taking classes on financial literacy. They learn how to do taxes.
Right.
They're learning how to. They're taking sociology classes. They're taking psychology classes. So they're learning how to identify with other human beings. They know how to do interviews. They know how to identify somebody that's trying to scheme or get over on them. Not that you can catch any of those guys, but you at least know what it looks like. Like it's not that hard. It's just we're so our capitalist system teaches all of us to get more and keep it. So we don't want to release it. That's the power in that too. There's a lot of power in that, man. And D West, you and I talked about that. It says knowledge is power. And you look at movies like what's the movie with Remy and Ice Cube? Higher Learning. Right. Like it's funny. Like it's like you look at the Spike Lees or anybody that's putting that information out there, and they put it in their films, and we looking at the killings, and it's like, no, there's a bigger meaning to it. So we just there's a lot of power in our talents, and other people are milking it out of us, and we getting there though. We gonna get there. We just gotta keep pounding it in our guys' heads to just keep paying attention. Oh.